I didn't stop calling my parents out of anger. That would have been cleaner. I stopped calling because I was tired of auditioning. My family has always functioned like a small boardroom. My sister Alina, the golden investment. Me, the volatile asset no one quite trusted. She was practical, polished, predictable. I tried things, I failed at some of them. That became my permanent headline. The night they handed her the 100,000 check was quiet. Too quiet for something that large. We were at their dining table. My father slid an envelope across the wood like he was approving a loan. My mother watched Alina open it. Already smiling. Early inheritance, Dad said. Better to see it put to good use. Alina's eyes filled. Gratitude, victory. Then Dad looked at me. Not cruel, not loud. Just clinical. You've always struggled with consistency, he said. Money wouldn't fix out. There it was. Failure, not shouted. Logged. They didn't mean it to be cutting. That almost made it worse. It was presented as fact, like blood type. I didn't argue. I asked one question. Was there ever a version where you trusted me? Dad exhaled. When you prove you can handle something long term. I nodded. I left early, and a week later, I stopped calling. No dramatic announcement. I just disappeared. The first month, my mother texted things like, "Are you okay?" The second month, "This is childish." By month 4, silence settled in. They assumed I was sulking. What I was actually doing was something slower. 2 years earlier, I had bought a neglected stretch of land outside town. Everyone told me it was useless. No utilities. No road access. No immediate value. I bought it cheap because no one wanted my parents. You'll sink money into dirt. Dad had said, maybe, but it was mine. I spent 2 years learning zoning regulations. Meeting planners. Negotiating easements. Taking consulting work at night to fund small infrastructure steps. I failed more than once. Permits stalled. Contractors ghosted. I questioned myself constantly, but I didn't call home to narrate it. There's something clarifying about not performing your effort for approval. Slowly, the land shifted from potential to plan. A logistics developer needed a site close to the highway expansion. Mine qualified. If I could secure the final access agreement, I did. We formed a partnership. I retained ownership. They financed construction. It wasn't flashy. It was structured. By the time ground broke, I had signed documents I once wouldn't have understood. That's when Alina drove past. She had bought her house with my parents' suburb about 15 minutes from my property. One afternoon, on a detour around traffic, she passed what she thought was an empty field. Except it wasn't empty. There were grading machines, framing steel. A large white sign listing the development company. And below it, in smaller letters, landowner. She called Dad immediately. I know this because he told me later. She was screaming. He said, "You need to see this. Something's wrong." They drove out together the next morning. I was on site when their car pulled up. I recognized it immediately. Same sedan. Same cautious way Dad parked slightly too far from everything. They got out slowly. My mother looked confused. Alina looked pale. Dad approached me with the expression he used when reviewing financial statements, searching for the error. "What is this?" he asked. "A distribution facility." I said. "Phase 1. For who?" He pressed. I handed him a copy of the partnership logo. My name listed under ownership. He scanned it. "Once, twice. You sold the land." "No." "So, they're leasing. Long term. With escalation." He looked up at the structure rising behind me, then back at the paper. Something recalibrated in his eyes. Alina broke first. "Uhunwan," I said. "I hired people, that's different." Right then, a black SUV pulled in. Mr. Hanley, the development firm's regional director, stepped out with a municipal zoning officer. They were there to finalize an inspection milestone. Mr. Hanley walked over. Extended his hand to my father politely. "You must be family. He's been excellent to work with." The zoning officer nodded. "Cleanest paperwork submission we've had this quarter." There it was, authority. Unmistakable, not praise from a parent. Validation from the system. My father didn't say anything for a long moment. Alina stared at the sign again. I could almost see her recalculating the numbers in her head. Eventually, Dad cleared his throat. "You didn't tell us. You didn't ask. That's not fair." Either was the assessment. My mother finally spoke, softly. "We always wanted you to succeed." "I know," I said. And I meant it. They just never imagined what that might look like if it didn't resemble my sister. Dad folded the site plan carefully, like it had weight. We misjudged the scale, he admitted. Not an apology. But close. I didn't offer of slights, no victory lap. I stopped calling because I needed to build something without being compared, I said. This is what happened. Silence stretched. Wind moved across the open lot, rattling temporary fencing. Alina asked, almost small, "Are you mad at us?" I considered it. I said. Now I'm just busy. They stayed another 10 minutes. Asked logistical questions, practical ones. Dad's tone shifted from skepticism to analysis. Familiar territory for him. When they left, there were no hugs. No dramatic reconciliation. Just a different understanding. That evening, my phone buzzed, a message from Dad: "If you ever want to discuss expansion strategy, I'd be interested." 2 years ago, I was the failure. Now I was a potential collaborator. I didn't respond immediately, not out of spite. Out of balance. The land behind me hummed with machinery, steady and real. Concrete being poured where weeds once grew. Dignity doesn't arrive like applause. It arrives like ownership. And for the first time, I wasn't asking anyone to approve it.